Hello everyone, my name is Tasmia Nishat, or Smia for short, and I run Nerd for Healing, Yedge Healing Space, and the Breakup Roadmap. And today we're talking about what to do about sexy people. The title is a bit of a misnomer. Really, what this live is about is some of the pitfalls of, I guess, not necessarily sex, but I guess hormones and the kinds of traps that we can fall into if we're not careful. I think as a culture as a whole, Western culture, that probably if you're watching this you're involved in some way. We've kind of come from this puritanical background, sex negative in a sense, and then historically we've gone the other way, and we're kind of sex is no big deal, it's whatever. And I think, as which is a natural thing to do if you're unlearning something, we tend to go to the extreme. So this live is kind of about what does the middle ground kind of look like. So yeah, sex is a double-edged sword. It can really strengthen an existing relationship that's really good, or it can keep us stuck in relationships that aren't so great, or stuck in on and off cycles and things like that. So that's because the hormones involved are literally addicting. It's the same hormones that are involved in any kind of other addiction, but literally it's the source of it is connection with another person, at its peak. So the hormones dopamine, serotonin, which I'm going to talk about a little bit more, difference between serotonin and dopamine, and how that difference is kind of neat to kind of look at that and apply it to our lives. So let's see, what did I say here? Yeah, so oftentimes when someone is we have a lot of chemistry with someone and it's really intense and hot at the beginning, not all the time, but often enough, this is because they are actually resembling someone from our childhood. That's why it's so intense and passionate, because it's going back to the inner child workshop that I did, it's because it's kind of our inner child is oh my god, I'm gonna get my needs fulfilled, this reminds me of home. Yeah, so that really intense and passionate thing is oftentimes about that. And so if we're going back to the serotonin and dopamine kind of thing, it's dopamine is, we kind of tend to think of dopamine as a pleasure chemical, but actually it's the drive to go for a goal, and it's kind of the thrill of the hunt, but it's actually not the satisfaction of getting what you want. So with relationships that are really on and off, or oh, he texted me, now he didn't text me, and there's this kind of this little enticing edge of are you gonna get the thing, and so that's what's driving that is dopamine, and that makes it literally addicting. That invariable ratio enforcement, when you don't know when you get the next hit, suddenly our system is okay, we're gonna get all systems in gear to get the next hit of the thing. In contrast to dopamine, serotonin is the satisfaction of getting what you want. It's kind of passionate, intense fling affair relationship versus long-term stable, we got each other kind of thing. And I don't want to be moralistic to say one is better than the other, just to be aware of the dynamics that are involved. And another note about hormones. So I think having a little bit of awareness about your own hormonal situation can be really helpful. I'll speak to assigned female at birth hormones, but as most of you know, there's a monthly cycle going on. So if you have that hormonal system, then around ovulation and during the period, that's when you might feel the call to sleep with someone that you shouldn't sleep with, but your hormones are kind of yeah, it's a good idea, but it's kind of a split between your libido and your brain, and it's I want to sleep with them, but I know they're not the best fit for me. So in this case, having an awareness of where you're at in your hormonal cycle, if you're ovulating, then you're just okay, I know that I want to sleep with them, but I'm just gonna wait it out, and then I promise it'll feel more chill. Usually it'll feel more chill after that. And if you have so if you have a different hormonal situation, like you're on birth control or taking hormones, I think it's worth it to kind of track your cycle and like kind of see like patterns. I think that can be helpful. And if you're assigned male at birth and you have male hormones, the hormonal cycle is like daily. So yeah, that's one thing to keep in mind. I think that's like useful. So like there's anything I want to get away from moralism of like you should or shouldn't. Like sometimes like when people have like this pull and like they're so magnetic and we know like they're maybe not good for us but we want to anyway. I don't want to be moralistic and say like, you know, just willpower it out kind of thing. Like as long as you sometimes there's benefit in what Lacey Phillips calls like jumping into the fire. It's just like learning through having like a bad experience or whatever, and like as long as you go into it with awareness, then that's okay. And actually going back to the point of on and off relationships, so it's kind of like the addictive nature of sex, because like, you know, have like that peak experience and then like, you know, you keep on going back for more even though the relationship isn't great. Like in that situation, if you want to end the cycle, like I'm not saying the cycle is bad in itself. Like I've been in on and off situations that weren't necessarily bad and I learned a lot from them, but like if you're willing to like end the cycle and move on to something else, like basically you're gonna have to go through like a withdrawal period, just like kind of as like I was talking about this when I was in like a coaching program with Arden Lee, and it's just like she said like let the dust settle. So let the dust settle of like that addictive pattern and just let it kind of just let it chill out for a bit and just understand that there will be like a dust settling period, like if you're trying to get out of like a pattern. Because like another thing that like Amanda Blair says is that like, you know, if it was just about sex, then like, you know, you could just masturbate. But like oftentimes there's like deeper subconscious psychological things going on. So yeah, which is going back to like that how like really hot relationships oftentimes are kind of reminiscent of our childhoods. So like if we just step back and being like, okay, wait a minute, like this person seems so appealing to me because they remind me of my past. If we can kind of get that awareness, then it'll help us in just kind of moving through our relationship with discernment. That's kind of like the theme of this, is being discerning with sex and being mindful of it, basically. So in a nutshell, it's basically be discerning with sex. It's a double-edged sword. Use it wisely. Ideally use it wisely, but if you want to kind of like go for like the bad thing, then just that's okay too, but just be aware of what you're doing and try to learn what you can while you're in that situation. And be aware of your hormonal cycle. Like you might be drawn to people that you you shouldn't probably sleep with, like if you're ovulating or in your period, or whatever hormonal thing you're on. And just have fun with it, but be mindful. I guess that's what I want to say. Have fun, be discerning, be mindful. So that's it for this video. If you have a relationship situation that you need some help with, you can hire me. Or, you know, if this video is helpful for you, you can send me a tip at nerd4healing, number 4 healing@gmail.com. Otherwise, I will see you at the next week's video. Okay, bye guys.